say, here's our commercial plan, we're going to build capacity in the United States. We do have grant money to help support that from Congress already. And definitely in the reconciliation bill, we are talking as well about this is an area that I think some catalyzing investment makes sense. And I'm talking now about fission, what we have, but I should also say fusion power. I went to college 40 years ago, fired up to work on fusion energy. It's what powers the stars. And humans are ingenious. Of course, we'll figure it out. Now, good thing I didn't stay in that field because we don't have a business of it yet. But I'll tell you, the progress in the state of affairs today is incredibly exciting. At Lawrence Livermore National Labs at the Department of Energy, only a little over 2 years ago, for the first time, we got more energy out of a fusion reaction than put in to light the fuel on fire. Just recently, I don't think we've announced it yet, a much higher multiple of energy out versus energy in. And we've got a number of commercial fusion companies. Definitely in the next several years, we're going to see at scale much more energy come out than goes in fusion devices. It's a little bit of time after that to make it commercial and machines and all that, but it's coming. It's not a maybe someday, always 20 years away thing. Yeah. Watch the news. Fusion energy in the next 4 years is going to be very exciting. And so we're looking to how can we help catalyze that as well. Capacity for decades. So we've sort of, most of our enriched uranium material for commercial reactors comes from overseas. Now we've got a bunch of small modular reactor companies, some really exciting new technologies. We've got, with an outlook for significant growth in demand for new electricity in the United States, there's interest in building large reactors again, despite the cost overruns at Vogtle. The last ones were built at less cost than the first unit at Vogtle. So I think we would like to see a renaissance of nuclear. Now I know the renaissance of nuclear has been talked about for a long time. I think the conditions are there, and the administration is going to do everything we can to lean in to help commercial businesses and customers launch nuclear. We are offering up land in Department of Energy facilities for people that want to build things. We're making it easier to test reactors at a demonstration site at the Idaho National Labs. We recently announced supplying HALEU fuel, which is instead of enriched in that 3 to 5% in a typical light water reactor, it's 20% enriched uranium for next generation reactors. We announced delivering that fuel to 5 of these next generation reactor companies. We're also using the Loan Program Office in situations where, for example, hyperscalers so want to see new electric and nuclear generation capacity, they'll put up large chunks of equity money to help, because utilities don't have the balance sheets or the risk tolerance to build nuclear power plants. But if you can have offtake customers that are well capitalized, put up a large amount of equity together with the developers to secure a execution of these projects, LPO office will come in with debt that makes the capital stack work so we can get plants built. Once they get built, contract financing will take out the LPO debt and we can recycle that into other projects. I'd like to not get in the position we're in, for example, with wind power, where the tax subsidies came in 32 years ago and they're still here today. You put subsidies into tax credits, they tend to be very sticky. So what we're doing at the Department of Energy is specific deals that are going to hopefully launch the first 5, 7, 8, 10, 20 reactors, and let's get this industry going again. Then we'll get supply chain efficiencies and volume, costs will come down, and I think it should fly very well as a commercial industry. Tariffs, and I think it's disturbing to people, it's uncertain because we're in the middle of it. But let me just hit the 2 points about what's the president's plan here? What's the agenda? It's driven by 2 things. Since the end of World War II, the United States has been incredibly welcoming to import products from all the nations of the world. I celebrate that. The goal of the president is to get all of the nations of the world equally welcoming to American exports as we've been to their exports. That's a grow trade agenda. The other piece of the president's agenda is to try to find the right incentives to reshore manufacturing in the United States. Over the last 25 years, a lot of energy-intensive manufacturing has left the United States. Well, we can buy it cheaper from Asia, people said, so no big deal. But those jobs, in large-scale industrial jobs and energy-intensive manufacturing, They tend to be blue collar, they're often concentrated in rural areas. This is just the demographic that's had a rough ride in the last 30 years. If you lived in an urban area and you're highly educated, boy, it's been a great few decades. I've been very lucky in my life. But if you grew up in a rural area or a less thriving community and didn't get the same educational opportunity as the rest of us, your economic opportunities have actually gotten worse. The president is deeply committed to make the economic opportunities better for those people, and so he wants an agenda that makes it compelling to invest in the United States and put those jobs here. And the last thing, as an energy nerd, can I repeat my thoughts? So manufacturing, people, when we think about energy, people either talk about the electricity grid or they talk about automobiles. And of course, those are important and real uses of energy, and I love the electricity grid. But the energy delivered on the electricity grid to end users represents 20% of total global energy. People think it's like the same thing. It's a piece, it's a sliver. We use about a quarter of energy for transportation. But the biggest use of energy by far is manufacturing, making things. And you can't make an automobile or a building or an internet or an airplane without materials. We spend 20% of all global energy just to make cement, steel, plastics, and fertilizer. The 4 pillars of the modern world. 20% of energy just to make those 4. We use over 40% of global energy just to make things. Aluminum and other metals and polysilicon and all these materials. This is the base of which everything else is made of.